Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about wireless charging because in a recent interview that Chris Anthony did with Nikki from Transport Evolved, he mentioned that they were looking into doing some wireless inductive charging sometime down the line. I don't think it's anytime soon, but it's something that they're looking into. So maybe in some future iteration of Aptera, they will have wireless charging available. And he was thinking that it was when he was asked about the Tesla plug. He said that basically, the dream would be to just get rid of the plug altogether and go to wireless charging. And they had been talking to some company that was going to do about 500 watts of wireless charging, which is like a good trickle charge, a little bit slower than a level one charger, but you could do wireless charging. Um, and so that made me wonder about wireless charging because, the only wireless charging I'm familiar with is this kind of wireless charging, which I'm sure many of you guys use wireless chargers on your cell phones. And, what I noticed about my wireless chargers is if you move this phone like a centimeter in any direction or a centimeter off the pad, it just stops charging. So it's very finicky. You have to align the thing pretty well for the charging to work. And I was thinking, well, if this is a car and this is the thing on your garage, well, there's going to be a big air gap. You can't put the car directly on the floor. There's going to be an air gap, and you'd have to park the car exactly perfectly to get the thing to work. Well, evidently, they've solved those problems. Um, I think the most well-known company working on this is this company called TriCity, and they put out this paper, highly resonant wireless power, safe, efficient, and over a distance. Basically, this is not a new thing. Nikola Tesla was thinking about putting wireless distributing electricity wirelessly back in 2004. And if you look at how this thing works, the traditional inductive charging, they have a coil of electricity going around in a circle. And when you do that, it makes this electromagnetic field that's like a torus, like a donut around the thing. And then if you put another coil and you approximate it in the same plane above it of the same size and like aligned to it, this electromagnetic field can induce an electrical current through the second coil, and then that can be done to do work like charging a battery. And that is how I thought these things work. Evidently, there's this other thing called resonance induction coupling, where you get the coil to match resonances, the frequency matches a resonance, kind of like an opera singer breaking a wine glass. And this kind of worked on at MIT back in 2007. So I tracked down the paper, and this is the paper from Science Magazine. Science Magazine is one of the premier journals in science, the other one being Nature. So Nature and Science are the two biggest journals. If you discover something really huge, you put it in these journals. So all the major developments in science are published in one of these two journals, basically. Um, anyway, they published it in 2007. I read through this thing. I tried to understand it. I could not understand this. I just do not have the math and physics background to understand this paper. Makes I mean, I got maybe 5% of it. It was not much. So, but what I gathered from it is basically instead of having this situation where you have to have the coils very close together, you can have this have high frequency switching back and forth of the electrical current, and it makes this resonant magnetic field. And if you have these coils match it, you can move it around. You can be out of not perfectly aligned and pretty far away, and then you can couple with it via resonance. And that's how you can transfer the power from a longer distance. So therefore, you don't have to park the car perfectly, and you don't have to be directly on top of the coil, and it'll still transfer power. Now, they claim that this thing is as efficient as a level 2 plug, 90 to 93% efficient from grid to battery. Um, I'm going to have to see proof of that because it just doesn't make sense to me that it would be as efficient as a wire. Because when they did this when they do this with cell phones lose about 30 to 40% efficiency over wireless charging when compared to wired charging. So I'm sure cars are a little different than phones, but I find it a little hard to believe that this is true. And also, they say that it's safe for cars, for people, but I don't know because I looked through the National Library of Medicine. If you look at electromagnetic field health dangers, it's not well known. And there's a lot of people that are kind of pseudo conspiracy theorists talking about how 5G and Wi-Fi radiation is bad for you, and it might be. There are some serious scientists that actually are concerned about the electromagnetic fields from cell phones causing brain cancer in the future. One of them was one of the lead scientists at University of Pittsburgh's immunology department and their cancer center. So these are not quacks. There are some legitimate concerns about electromagnetic fields, and in this day and age, we can't really get around them. They're everywhere. We're surrounded by Wi-Fi and cell phone signals, so you just can't avoid it unless you go like live in the middle of Alaska or something. You're just not going to avoid EM radiation. However, most of these have very low power. The power output of your cell phone's radio generator or the wireless chargers that you use for your cell phone are very low power. We're looking at 5 watts, maybe 15 watts, and the field strength decreases rapidly as you move away from it. So I would say that there probably is some health detriment to these fields, but number one, you can't avoid it. And number two, the ones we have currently are not that high power. However, once you start saying that you're going to put in 500 watts or 2 kilowatts or 15 kilowatts, and like I think one of the national labs was testing 120 kilowatt um, induction magnetic resonance induction charger for vehicles. Like that is a lot of power, and that is a huge magnetic field. And I'm not sure that I want to be the guinea pig to uh, to do that and install one of those things in my home garage. That seems a little iffy to me. So I'm not. I would rather just have the inconvenience of plugging it in. But it's an interesting idea. So I won't be the first one to sign up for this TriCity magnetic induction charger, but I'm sure it's going to be a thing. I'm sure there will be charging stations. And if there are, I will park my car in them and get away from it as soon as possible. And then get back in it and drive away. I will not be hanging around one of those induction chargers. All right, well, tell me what you guys think about these induction chargers. Do you think that they're safe? Would you put one in your garage? And do you think that it's actually as efficient as a plug? I have to think that by transmitting it through the air, you have to lose some efficiency. But again, I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm not a physicist, so I'm no expert on this. It just intuitively doesn't make sense to me, especially when the data from cell phones shows that it is 30 to 40% less efficient. So they must be doing something completely different to have this much change in efficiency. And there are some health concerns with it. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks to our supporting members as always. And have a great day, everyone.